All right, welcome back to Postcards from Boston. We are brought to you by Highlands and Polar. My guest, one of the most prolific authors in endurance sports, Mr. Matt Fitzgerald. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to see you, Bob.
Always a pleasure, my man. And you're in the midst of 8 marathons in 8 weeks in 8 different parts of the country?
Yeah, Boston will be number 5.
Very fun. So what led to that?
I've always been fascinated by the marathon, that the metaphor life is a marathon.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to explore that in a deeper way. So by taking my own journey, but also interacting with as many other people whose lives have been changed by marathon running as possible. So I'm just dropped out of society. My wife came with me. My dog came with me. We're living on the road for 7 weeks.
And what have you found? We were interviewing Mike Wardian a little earlier, and it was sort of the aha moment for him is he found the general thought is you run, you recover, you take time off. You don't run 8 marathons in 8 weeks. And he found the more he ran, actually he ran better, and it seemed like he didn't have the problems recovering that he did when he took more time off.
Yeah, I mean, I can't compare myself to Mike Wardian, but...
Who can?
Right.
Yeah,
he's an animal.
Yeah.
But I have found something very similar. I had an experience in the 3rd marathon I did where it was a trail run. I got lost. I ended up running 30 miles, but I was never concerned about not being able to finish. Right. I just felt like I could kind of run forever, there's an amazing freedom to that.
And so when you first got into running, going way back, was running first or was triathlon first?
Running was first for me.
Running was always your thing?
Never really got the swim thing down too
well. No. But you've done Ironman. You've
Yep.
done some of the triathlon stuff.
Sure.
What did you learn from that, the cross-training part of that helped you running?
Yeah, well, for me, it was a game changer because I'm very injury prone.
I was remembering that you had a lot of injuries. Was it stress fracture type of things?
You name it.
Okay.
Every overuse injury in the book, I've had probably twice or more.
Yeah.
So now, even though I haven't done a triathlon since 2009, but still only about a third of my training is running, just because I found you can kind of have it both ways. You maintain fitness, but you're not subjecting your body to that kind of pounding, and you stay healthier.
One of my pet peeves is we've got a lot of high school coaches and college coaches who tend to pile miles on people and never really recognize the value of, hey, maybe if we got them in a pool, maybe if we got them a stationary bike, we can use the engine, but tune it up with something where you're not pounding. Do you see some of that yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Most runners won't cross-train unless they're desperate,
Unless they're recovering from an injury.
Right, yeah. But then, once you have that experience and you see, hey, that's not so bad,
Right.
my body does feel better and I'm not sacrificing performance, then you embrace it. So I've been kind of on a mission to get people to that point before they have to use it as a last resort.
So Racing Weight was a book that changed a lot of people's lives. At the time, I ignored it because I felt like, I don't need to worry about weight. I changed everything in the last couple of years. And what was your moment where you felt like, okay, it's great that I'm training a lot, but if I'm not looking at my nutrition, I'm not getting the whole package?
For me, it was, one of the cool parts of my job and yours is getting to interact with elite athletes.
Yes.
And not only is it, fun to interact with those people, but you learn a lot. And I would study what was on their plates and realize, it was pretty normal, but just they had high standards for what they put in their bodies. And obviously, these are the folks winning races. So I just started to monkey see, monkey do with their diets. And boy, what a difference.
So what is your latest book?
My latest book is...
Here we go. The Endurance Diet, yes.
And it's exactly what I just explained to you. So I spent a year and a half traveling all around the world, eating with Tour de France cyclists. I went to Kenya, ate with the top runners in the world.
How fun was that?
Yeah, it was a blast. So even if the book didn't sell a single copy,
didn't matter.
I had a lot of memories.
Yeah. Were there athletes who sort of surprised you because, oh my God, you're eating that? What surprised you from that?
The most surprising thing was actually the consistency I found, and because I wasn't just looking at runners or triathletes, but stand-up paddleboarders, cross-country skiers, rowers, and pretty much every continent, and they're all kind of doing very similar things now. Of course, Canadians don't eat ugali like the Kenyans do. So on the surface, yes, but they're all doing that sort of what I call a high-quality version of a culturally normal diet wherever they are.
biggest mistake your age group athlete makes in terms of what they put in their body? Because we all grew up with Thursday night, carbo load, I got a race coming up on Saturday or Sunday, and it worked for some people,
Yep.
but other people felt lethargic.
Yeah. It's actually a long list of biggest mistakes, but just in general, jumping on fads. You don't see the elites do that. Elite runners and triathletes, they grow up eating mom's cooking, and sometimes it's not the healthiest thing.
Right.
When they get to the top level and they start losing for the first time in their lives, they don't go on the South Beach diet or whatever. They just look at their peers who are beating them and say, okay,
what's he doing?
What are you doing? And I really advise recreational athletes to do a similar thing. Don't start over. Don't throw everything out. Evolve your diet. Just find the specific problems that you have with your diet that need fixing and fix those.
I always look at it, for me, it wasn't so much a diet, and I've never been a diet guy. It was just sort of changing. There's a plate with crackers and cheese. There's a plate with strawberries and cranberries. I'll eat that. Do you find that people who are successful, it's not because it's a diet, but it just becomes a full lifestyle change?
Yeah, that sort of gets back to your earlier question about what was most surprising is that, while the standards for elite endurance athletes with their diet are very high, they're not working at it.
Right.
They're not worrying about food all the time or obsessing. A lot of recreational athletes are. And sometimes I just want to tell them, my prescription for you is spend 80% less time thinking about food and you'll be good to go.
Do you also find, in terms of your age group athlete, the way they train, do you find sometimes that your age group guys are doing more than your professional guys?
Yeah, actually, there's science proving that, relative to volume, recreational athletes train harder in terms of their average intensity than
Yes.
the pros do.
Right.
So the pros are doing that 80-20 thing, 80% easy, 20% getting after it. But a lot of recreational athletes are caught in what we call the moderate intensity rut, where when they think they're taking it easy, they're actually not.
I remember, I forget who was telling me that the biggest mistake a lot of guys make is they train with the same group all the time. So they're doing what everybody else is doing, and maybe that's not what's best for them. That sometimes it's great to train with a group, but you sort of have to be selective and still do your own thing.
Yes, and one thing I noticed about the pros as well is that they have a lot of self-trust, and when you kick butt, it's easy to develop,
But they started somewhere where their butt was getting kicked.
Right, but they sort of feel like, I know what I'm doing because I'm a winner. It's tougher for some recreational athletes to sort of, tune out what others are doing and listen to their bodies and find their own path.
With going slower to go faster, a lot of your age group guys are going to say, oh, listen, here's my energy pie. Here's my family. Here's my work. And here's this little thing that I have for training. When I train, I got to train hard all the time.
Yeah.
And that sometimes can be self-defeating.
Yeah, because what the research is showing is that really no matter how little you train, you still benefit the most if you do that 80-20 thing. So there's one study that involved runners who ran 35 miles per week.
Yeah.
And even when they got out of that moderate intensity rut and started doing their easy stuff, truly easy, they improved more.
And when you say easy, how do you differentiate easy and casual?
Okay, well here we go with the physiology,
Okay.
but what the exercise scientists do is they do it at the ventilatory threshold, which in heart rate terms is about, for a typical trained athlete, 77% of max. That's the boundary between low and moderate intensity.
Okay. And that's where you want to be how much at a time?
80% of the time, you want to be below that ventilatory threshold.
That's perfect. That's all I do. I don't ever go hard.
Yeah.
People, hard hurts. You don't want to go hard, right? You want to just
hard hurts, but fast is fun. So, But the thing is, if you do really, if you take that sort of, if you avoid the middle like that, when it is time to turn on the afterburners on the track, you feel a lot better, because you haven't depleted yourself by going moderate on the easy days. So if you like to go fast, it's actually 20% is not insignificant.
No. It's still, you're not ignoring it.
Right, absolutely.
And when you're doing that 20%, you're going all out.
Yeah.
So one of your books, the book IronWar.
Yep.
Dave Scott, Mark Allen, I still feel one of the greatest races in history. It meant so much to so many of us. And here's Dave Scott taking 18 minutes off his course record and losing, right?
Yes.
On that day. From delving deep into those two guys, what made them so unique?
Wow, how much time you got?
No, we got a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, the guy who named IronWar is the guy asking the question.
Well,
so
yeah.
You know the answer to this question.
I know it, but you delved a lot deeper researching them. I know them as friends and guys I covered.
Yeah.
And that IronWar was very, very special. But to get to that level, I mean, it's one of those things. Obviously, you can't do it without the other guy.
Yes.
Mark needed Dave to push him, and to a certain degree, Dave needed Dave to push himself.
Right.
But he's noticed that fly in the wall called Mark Allen, and I'm sure that helps him up the ante a little bit as well.
What's so fascinating to me is that it wasn't really the same thing for the two guys that made them great. You know, for Dave, it was largely innate. There was just no off switch.
None.
With Dave.
Yes.
There wasn't even a fourth, third, first, or second gear with Dave. It was just, he just couldn't stop moving, and he used that, just to climb to the mountaintop. Whereas Mark, it was more of a personal journey, where it was about no separation between life and his personal development. Where he wanted to fashion himself into his ideal vision for the person he wanted to be, and he struggled for a long time to get there. He had some, demons he was trying to exercise through triathlon.
Right.
And was very successful in it, so he ended up on the mountaintop as well.
I love that. And once he did knock Dave Scott off, then he never lost.
Yeah, he built a nest on the mountaintop once he was there. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So, Matt, this will be the 5th of 8 marathons.
Yes.
And this book is out now?
Yeah, yep. It's wherever.
Selling it here at the Expo?
Wherever, yeah, I'm going to be here at the Highlands Expo. Pretty much as soon as we shut down here, I'm setting up shop.
How many books now have you done?
I don't know.
Okay, that's when you know you've written a lot of books, when you don't know how many books you've written. I love that.
Yep.
Congratulations. Matt,
thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Likewise, Bob.
And I appreciate that racing weight book. It had a lot of dust, but eventually when I started losing weight, I was realizing, you know what? It really does come down to that, because you can train all day long and it means nothing if you're too fat, right? You got to be in shape to do this stuff.
Yep. You look great, Bob.
Thank you, Matt. I've been waiting for that the entire interview. I just wanted Matt to say, Bob, you look like you're in shape to go run fast, which I'm not, but thank you. Matt Fitzgerald has been our guest. Again, this is Highlands Postcards from Boston. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're brought to you by Highlands and Polar. Hold on. We'll be right back.